I'm gonna make this perfectly clear right now before I really get into this video, because this is something that definitely needs to be discussed. Anybody at all, y'all act like y'all afraid to have these conversations. Anybody at all that want to invite any other perspective, any other understanding, the facts, reality, let's have this conversation. If you disagree, let's have this conversation. I'll invite you on. I will not hesitate to invite you on. We can talk about this. Okay? Let's make it happen.
Time to tell it like it is.
Called the Tyrone Mays rat experiment. Y'all need to look that up. It's called the Tyrone's Maze Rat Experiment. It went down in 1940. He ended up getting it from another psychiatrist in 1840. It's called the Tyrone Maze Rat Experiment. And what they did was they took a few hundred rats, right? And they splitted them and they divided them. And what they did was they created an environment for both of these rats to live in. In one subject, they took about 100 rats and they put it in an environment where it had clean water. They put it in an environment where it had the right amount of space for the rats can, get, basically if they wanted to be by themselves, they could. They made sure that it was good food in there that didn't have any type of poisons put inside the foods. They even gave them space to breathe, to go upstairs, downstairs. They just gave them this abundant environment, right? They put these rats in there. Mind you, these the same rats with the same genetical molecular structure, which is nothing different. They both came from the same mama, the same daddy, the same family tree, right? So they took these rats, they put one in a good environment, then they put the other 100 rats in a bad environment where they didn't get water. If they did get water, the water actually had acids in it. They made sure they didn't give them the regular food. I think they gave them like cat food or something like that with a bunch of pellets that was inside of them, right? They stuck them on top of each other and they made sure that the space was very, very small. They never cleaned any poop out of the maze. They pissed out of the maze and they left them in there. They left them in there for 4 months and they watched how their behavior changed. They went back and they got the actual rats that came from the good environment and they put them in the maze. They ended up going through the maze very, very fast. Then they ended up going and get the rats that they put in the bad environment and put them in the maze, and they didn't know how to even make it through the first section of the maze. So he like, maybe this is a coincidence. So he did it. So what he did was he switched the rats. He took the rats that was smart, that made it through the maze, that was in the good environment, and he put them in a bad environment. Then he took the rats that was in a bad environment, that was dummies that couldn't make it through the maze at all, and he put them in the good environment. He waited 4 months, then he took them back out. The same rats that was good and smart, that was in a good environment, that he put in a bad environment, now they couldn't make it through the maze. The same rats that was in the bad environments, that was dummies that couldn't make it through the maze, he put them in a good environment. Now they making it through the maze and making it through life just fine. So he said, damn, it ain't the genetics. It ain't who these people is as individuals. It's the community. It's the environment that you put these biological entities in that changes the way they interact with their environment and with themselves. Did you know he did another 6-month experiment on the same rats that he left in the bad environment? Guess what they started doing? Killing each other. Some of the male rats started humping other male rats. Homosexuality. Look, the other rats that was at the bottom that didn't have the food, these niggas went upstairs to the other rats and started robbing them for food and water. I said, damn, this sound like your typical project. Don't this sound like the PJs? This is a real rat experiment. So it made me start questioning. I had to sit back and really rub my chin.
They turned into robbing rats?
They turned into robbing, homosexual.
What else are you gonna do?
Rats.
It's a survival mechanism at this point.
Now check this out though, goddess. It was a selective group of female rats, and I really want y'all to look this up when y'all get home today. Watch this. It will fuck your mind up. The female rats, they started pampering themselves. They used to let their children just do what the fuck ever. They started pampering themselves. All they was worried about.
The hood rats. Which one these?
See, these was the hood rats. Okay. The hood rats, right? Exactly. So the hood rats. I'm gonna quote that. The hood rats. All they did was pamper themselves. The only thing that they worried about was their fur. They worried about their weight. They didn't worry about their children anymore. They weren't worried about the mama papa rat. The only thing that they focused on was their actual cells. And then the father rat started going to other different parts of the actual rat experiment cage and started like bullying on the younger children. It was crazy, man. Look, it gets so deep when you really start watching it. It even rapists started happening. Rape with the older male rats in the community started raping the younger males and the younger female rats. Same thing that happens in the ghetto where a young girl will get touched on by their uncle. or a young male will get touched on by their uncle or their auntie. This happens. So it's like, damn, is this rat experiment that's going on in Tyrone, rat maze experiments, the same shit that's going on with us in these communities? And then you have to ask yourself, in the projects. Right. And who built these communities? We didn't build these communities. We ain't put the liquor stores in these communities. We ain't put dope in here. You got something called Russian AK-47s. Niggas ain't never been to Russia. You got Japanese SKs. We ain't never been to Japan. We got grenades that come from, we got all these different things in the community of America that's outside of America when niggas ain't never left the block. How was they getting there? This shit was set up. So once I realized, like, damn, me and my people is in a rat maze. This is a project. We are being psychologically experimented on. That's when I said,
this fool actually said the female rats were pampering themselves. How exactly? How were they pampering themselves? Were they, I'm guessing he's comparing this to black people, to our situation, the ghetto, the hood, where the female rats putting on fake lashes and weave and lace front and shit. I mean, seriously. Not trying to be funny. I'm dead. So how are they pampering their rats? How are they pampering themselves? He's trying so hard in so many ways to relate this to black people's situation. It is a massive stretch. It's disgusting. It's stupid. Let me read to you guys exactly what I posted on Facebook when a friend of mine decided to post this, to share this video. I'm going to get into the massively obvious things that we clearly do not consider, and we continue to allow ourselves, our brains to be conditioned, so easily conditioned and so easily brainwashed to nonsense and stupidity. So my comment read, we are long overdue for termination of the nonsense and excuses that we continue to entertain and cater to in different ways. It's a huge part of the reason that of all groups of people, we are still at the bottom. I'll speak about this in a video later today, and he simply responded, I can't wait, I'm going to watch. I appreciate that. This is an experiment with rats. These are not human beings. This is an experiment with rats. And just simply saying that, just simply knowing that, you know that we are not rats. Clearly, that's not enough said. And that's what disturbs me the most. It bothers me that I even have to say this, to even mention this. But one thing to consider, we are not subjected to isolation in the way suggested in this video. The way that he suggested the rats were isolated to the maze, like they were trapped in this area. We are not limited to the maze. We are, or perhaps for those watching that so easily fall for this nonsense, perhaps it'll be better stated. We should be at a much higher intellectual station than that of rats. We should have far more self-control. They were isolated to that maze. We are not in any kind of isolation. So I hate when people are trying to blame our environment, blame the things that we are subjected to mean that we have to act a certain way, or to blame it on the fact that we are these destructive ass people. We are out of control and we are everything that we are. All of the worst of us are the way they are because of that. When we make the conscious decision, to do right or wrong. We become the people we are based on our collective experiences in life. We don't unite. We are not unified people. That's one of the biggest problems for our people. There were many, many decades after slavery was abolished for black people in this country. There were many decades after that our black people continued to be subjected to being their lives being taken and all kinds of horrible treatment and torture, and our people continue to be subjected to that even after slavery was supposed to be abolished for our people in this country. You don't even have to have done anything wrong. This white man or these white men have young boys of theirs that they want to teach how to do this to black people. They want to teach you this hate. They want to make an example of someone so you can see how it's done. You can experience it. That's all that needed to exist. And for no reason at all, going to a black family in the middle of the night, pulling your brother or father or both up out of the bed in the middle of the night and putting them up in a tree in the front yard. Come on now. That's what happened to our people. For no reason at all. Even through those times that were far, far more difficult for us. We didn't have the jobs and opportunities and the availability and able to go where we wanted to go. We didn't have the technology. We didn't have none of that stuff back then. Things weighed greatly against our people. And still we were able to be unified. Still we were able to accomplish things like Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. There were several cities all around this country that were thriving. Black folks were thriving like that. It wasn't just Tulsa, Oklahoma. Even through some of the most difficult times for our people, they were able to accomplish that. One of the biggest things that they had during those times that we don't have, we are not unified. Somebody puts guns in the alley. I've heard about the stuff countless times over. Everybody's different version and story of it. Somebody puts a big, huge container of guns in the alley in Chicago. You chose to take them and use them against your people. Not to use them to protect your people. You chose to take those drugs that were planted in our neighborhoods and use those to sell to our people. You made the conscious decision to do that. When are we going to start taking accountability? When are we going to start taking responsibility for ourselves? We made those decisions. Don't even have to go to school. You can get online and learn tons of things on your own. It's more easy for our people these days to travel, to traverse this country without any fear of harm and like our people did back then. It is infinitely easier these days for us. And we're doing so much worse. We're blaming the wrong daggone things. We're blaming people, making stupid ass excuses like this as to why we are the way we are. Stop with the bullshit and start with the accountability. Subscribe to change. Subscribe to being better people.